I'm Grover from The Absolute Sound here, and today we're going to be talking about another trip that I took after Munich this year. So if you haven't already checked out the Tidal Audio Factory tour and impressions, definitely give those a watch. I've been really excited to share that with you guys, and it's very, very cool. On this trip, however, I was investigating AVM and ViaBlue, both also German companies, and both with an exceptionally long and fabulous history of making great products.
Audiophiles are not aware that our review team evaluates over 300 audio products each year. Our Substack channel is the place to find the reviews that you won't find on YouTube or in the Absolute Sound magazine. In addition, on Substack we have a weekly Q&A session for readers with our experts, along with music articles and science of note. A link to subscribe is on screen or in the description.
But before that, we were invited actually by our hosts, Steve Jane of Fidelity Imports, as well as Udo from AVM, to join them on a tour of the AMG factory. Now, if you haven't heard of AMG before, well, honestly, what are you doing? You probably don't know anything about cars. So even though I'm kind of more traditionally of a Volvo and BMW enthusiast, of course I knew AMG, and I was very excited to get the opportunity to tour this amazing factory. One thing that really struck me about touring the AMG factory was just how clean everything is. They really stick to that original one-man, one-motor concept, but in the process of doing so, they've added automation where it's helpful, and you have some incredibly sophisticated tools. For example, there is a cart that at one point follows the engine builder around through different steps of the process and actually sort of pre-selects out for them the specific parts that they need to do each step of the engine building process. It's kind of an amazing marriage of both human craftsmanship and automation working in harmony. But what really shocked me, like I said, was just how clean everything was. There's no oil on the floor. There's no parts lying around. There's no grease stains everywhere. When I asked about this specifically, it was a very Swabian mentality. The gentleman who was giving us the tour simply said, you just keep it clean. Of course, they do have cleaning crews that come through sometimes, but I think this is another thread that ran through almost my entire experience with all of the German factories. Is there's just a level of precision, a level of organization that is typically German, and it's not incorrect to say that there really is a higher level of organization in their manufacturing than I've seen almost anywhere else. It's kind of amazing to see, and it was really a joy to get to experience that, both at the AMG factory, of course, where we got to see a variety of incredibly cool cars, as well as the delivery area for owners who are taking possession of their new AMG vehicles, as well as things that are much more exclusive. For example, we saw the area where Pagani engines are made. The only area in the entire world, in fact, where Pagani engines are made. One person makes every Pagani engine that's ever delivered. And although AVM and ViaBlue are not perhaps quite this exclusive in the kind of gear that they make, I think this type of care is the same type of care that goes into the products that they have. So fast forward a little bit now, and we're in the AVM factory. Of course, there are a few other suppliers in the local area who provide things like circuit boards, casework, etc. But the AVM factory proper is where all of the magic comes together. And of course, we got a lovely and unexpected tour of all those other facilities, which are fairly local to AVM. What this allows them to do is to have both a degree of control and allow for local specialists who are excellent at, say, printing circuit boards, but may not necessarily know as much about audio testing, to work together with AVM to build the optimal product. Now, what is that product, you might say? Well, one thing that I think is really kind of cool about what AVM does is that they have a range of products ranging from relatively affordable all the way to about $40,000 for their top-level monoblock amplifier. AVM products do tend to use tubes in some of the amplification products, and they also have an extremely wide array of functionality. There's Bluetooth streaming, there's radio even, there's Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, streaming capabilities, DSP, amplification, phono. I mean, the list goes on and on. Even an integrated all-in-one unit from AVM for 5,000 or 6,000 euro is an incredibly complete package, not only sonically, but also functionally. And what AVM does, I think, better than almost any manufacturer I've seen is take the level of care that you expect to see from a piece which costs $30,000 or $40,000 and takes that all the way down into their most affordable products, while also offering functionality that you seldom see out of more mass market products. I was very impressed at the amount of things they were able to put in whilst retaining an extremely clean circuit board layout and a very high quality of audio componentry. They're using similar building blocks across the line. And of course, the very topmost pieces in, for example, the amplification portfolio are going to be using some slightly nicer parts and have a bit more power and all those sorts of things. You're getting quite a lot in the affordable range of their product as well. After touring the factory and the various facilities, we got some time to listen to AVM at a local shop, which is an incredibly nice arena to listen to hi-fi, kind of built around an old historic house in Baden-Baden, which is a kind of historic vacation town renowned for its hot springs. So AVM took us through this really compelling look into German manufacturing, but we also got to see another company, ViaBlue, who makes cables. And specifically, ViaBlue is focused on cables that have shielding to minimize noise. Now, these originally came from their work in recording studios where multiple microphone cables might be laying over each other, and they were working to reduce that noise from those microphone cables interacting with each other. They've taken this now into hi-fi, and they're remarkably low on extremely exotic sort of ideas about how audio cables work, and extremely high, I would say, on practicality. Things like those aforementioned different types of shielding, things like being able to make custom cables with custom connectors in custom colors, custom lengths. There was a pretty astonishing degree of customization that could be done, and ViaBlue also gave the impression that they had an enormous amount of attention to detail, down to working extremely closely with the people who cast and draw out the wire for their cables. They can actually specify a lot of different kinds of cable geometries for a customer who may need that. And a lot of the cable they sell is actually towards the medical industry who has sort of more specific needs. For their audio cable, this represents kind of an intriguing prospect. They're relatively affordable cables made to a very high standard with an enormous amount of flexibility and customizability. Although the actual operation was relatively straightforward, I gained a newfound sense of appreciation for exactly what they do there and the amount, again, of organization, time, and care that it takes to put all of this together. Both AVM and ViaBlue, I think, represent companies which, for reasonable money, are actually able to put together a pretty serious audio system. And this is something that we don't see too often here anymore in the United States. It's challenging to meet those price points. Not only do these two companies meet those price points, but they do it while looking nice, they do it while providing excellent sound quality, and they do it while providing great value for the money. And I think that that is something that I would love to see more of going forward, especially from European brands that have a little bit more modern sense of style to their products. In this case, I would say that the sonic qualities of these products sort of further supported that. These are fully modern sounding products. They do excellent with digital and streaming. There's no sort of will it suit analog or will it suit digital or does it have this flavor or that flavor. I would say that everything I heard from both of these companies was relatively true to source, transparent, neutral, straight ahead. This is the kind of sound that they're aiming for, a modern, wide bandwidth, dynamic sound. And it's quite appealing. It's very easy to see where, especially a consumer who maybe is not a dyed-in-the-wool, hardcore, card-carrying audiophile, might walk into a shop, many of which we saw in Germany while there, brick and mortar is still alive, and simply purchase a system which sounds nice to them. AVM actually makes pairs of speakers which are relatively affordable, designed to be compatible with their most affordable models. And we heard a few of those at the shop where we demoed the AVM equipment, and I have to say they sounded really quite nice. Overall, I would say that as these companies begin to get wider distribution in the United States through Fidelity Imports, they're definitely ones to keep an eye out for. I think if you're looking for an affordably or mid-priced system in the United States, it's very hard to beat the level of build quality, service, stability, and sound quality that's on offer here. And of course, both companies have actually been around for quite some time. AVM, for example, although acquired by the current owner Udo some time ago, actually originally started in 1986 and is a very long standing company in the German audio market. Anyways, I'll be bringing you more exciting factory tours very soon, so stay tuned for those. But in the meantime, check out AVM and ViaBlue cables. Fidelity Imports website will have more information. I think these are two kind of exciting audio brands, especially for folks who are interested in sort of more affordable, more accessible, and more feature-rich brands in the hobby. That's all for now. Thanks, and I'll see you later.